Joe Biden continues to lose friends. Are the Democrats taking him down deliberately? And what should Republicans do? Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is another declaration of truth from your host, Terry A. Hurlbut. It's obvious now. President Joe Biden has lost almost all his friends in government and in the legacy media. A media mutiny that began with CBS and NBC now has spread to CNN and the New York Times. Moreover, the tone of the coverage has shifted from honest mistake to cover-up. Now the hottest firebrand in the House Republican Conference openly suggests that Biden is under attack from his own side. This leaves open the question of what the Republicans will and should do about it. I want to make the case for Republicans to do nothing and stay out of this quarrel. Before I start, I do want to shout out to the prime sponsor of this channel, which is Conservative News and Views. Link in the description. Be sure to check out the awesome CNAV Store. Scroll down near the bottom for that link. Lots of great merchandise there, especially this t-shirt that I have chosen for today, which reads, "I need new conspiracies as all the old ones came true." Except that this is a conspiracy aimed at the president, and again, from his own side. One more thing. If you like what you're about to hear, you can like this video. You can also click the bell icon to get a notice every time I come out with a new one. In fact, do you see the new icon, the heart shape with the US dollar sign in it? That's the Super Thanks icon. If you really want to keep these videos coming, click there and leave me a tip. Any currency will do so long as it's legal tender. The Daily Wire reports that the FBI laid on a raid on Biden's house in Wilmington, Delaware last Friday. They found 6 more classified documents besides those his personal attorneys revealed. Some of these documents go back to Biden's Senate years. The rest come from his vice presidential years. The FBI evidently asked the White House not to comment on the search until they had completed it. More to the point, CNN released evidence that might suggest what those classified documents were about. Now, I have this from Trump Train News. A user named Robbie Starbuck tweeted out 2 CNN videos on Wednesday describing CNN's coverage. "Did someone hack their airwaves or what?" he asked. Why? Because CNN is publicly revealing that Joe Biden and his brothers all had corrupt business dealings with Joe's son Hunter. Now, because Mr. Starbuck made one tweet in reply to another, I'm going to leave you one link in the description to the second one. That will effectively display both tweets and both videos. Also on Friday, the New York Times released a report describing, I kid you not, 68 days of silence. That I have from the Daily Caller. The article blatantly asserts moral equivalency between Biden and his predecessor, Donald J. Trump. That I expected, but this article I did not expect. This is literally how they lead their article. Quote, "The decision by President Biden and his 2 advisors to keep the discovery of classified documents secret from the public and even most of the White House staff for 68 days was driven by what turned out to be a futile hope that the incident could be quietly disposed of without broader implications for Mr. Biden and his presidency." Close quote. Are they kidding? Futile hope? Quiet disposal? The Times admits that the result has been the opposite. To review, here is the timeline, or as much of it as I can piece together. November 2nd, 2022. Biden's personal attorneys find the first cache of classified documents at the Penn Biden Center. November 3rd, 2022. The National Archives repossesses those documents. November 4th, 2022. The Justice Department receives notice of this affair. November 9th, 2022. the FBI enters the case. November 14th, 2022, Attorney General Merrick Garland tasks U.S. Attorney John Lausch to investigate. December 20th, 2022, Biden's personal attorneys inform Lausch of the second cache in a garage in a house that may or may not be in Biden's name, stored next to Biden's personal automobile, a late model Chevrolet Corvette. January 6, 2023, Lausch informs Garland that he must appoint a special counsel. January 9th, 2023, CBS News breaks the story of the first cache. January 11th, 2023, NBC News breaks the story of the second cache. January 12th, 2023, Attorney General Garland appoints U.S. Attorney Richard Hur as special counsel. I have that from the New York Times. January 18, 2023, CNN reveals details on corrupt business dealings involving the president, his son, and his brothers. January 20th, 2023, the New York Times releases its retrospective suggesting that a tight circle of advisors thought they could avoid controversy. The Times seems to admit that those advisors thought wrong. Apparently, Joe Scarborough on MSNBC is still asserting that Biden is innocent in this matter, according to the Patriot Chronicles. Well, if that's true, then MSNBC might now be the only media friends that Biden has. Enough of that. Now I'm going to talk to you about people thinking that this is an inside job. But first, I want to shout out to a sponsor who can really help you through the economic storms to come. That sponsor is oursilverlines.com. Do you feel like you're working harder for your money just to get by? You are not alone. The fluctuating economy, employment issues, and unexpected changes in life have left many families struggling over the past few years. Collecting gold and silver can help shield you against many of these challenges. But if you're like me many years ago, you don't know where or how to start. Our Silver Lines helps by connecting you with thousands of members who are learning the secrets to creating and protecting true wealth by collecting precious metals. Whether you just want to collect rare and unique coins or take advantage of the business opportunities this company provides, they can help you learn to live an exceptional life. Visit oursilverlines.com to learn how you can build a legacy for your future. Yesterday afternoon, a man named Noah, who runs a site called We Love Trump, summarized several reports that Representative Matt Gaetz of Florida thinks a plot is afoot to put Biden out of the running in 2024. Kyle Becker put out 2 tweets on Saturday about the FBI raid, or at least visit, to the Biden home. I have links to both in the description. But earlier, meaning Friday night, a man named Nick Adams shared an article on from the Conservative Brief giving Matt Gaetz' opinion. Gaetz finds this time element most striking. Quote, "But just as Joe Biden is hardening the cement around his decision to run for president again, they start looking for what classified documents might have been tucked away 8 years ago." Unquote, Matt Gaetz. Translation, the Democrats don't want Joe Biden to run for president again. I have a link in the description to Nick Adams' tweet linking to that article, and also to tweets by Benny Johnson, Juanita Broderick, yes, that one, and the Daily Noah News. Most of these quotes quote Matt Gaetz' opinion, but the last one embeds an interview with Dan Bongino, who reminds his interviewer that President Obama and then Vice President Biden weren't exactly bosom buddies, and they still aren't. And here is a very striking thing that you should not try to shake loose of. Gates spared very little time and displayed no outrage at any scandal involving classified documents in Joe Biden's hands. He suggested Americans worry far more about the weaponization of the government against them than about any venal shakedown operation Biden might be running. The broader consensus seems to be that prominent Democrats do not want Biden to run in 2024 because they know he'll lose if he does. And now, here's my opinion. Gates has a point because the weaponization is current. I agree. Those documents are far less important than what the president is doing now to American liberty. Besides, what happens if Republicans impeach Biden over this? If Gates is correct and it's an inside job, the Senate Democratic Conference might do one of two things. They might spare just enough votes to convict, or they might encourage enough members to absent themselves and thus lower the threshold. In which case, Kamala Harris becomes president. No one asked Mr. Gates about his opinion on that matter, but any reasonable person might conclude that they would rather have a senile dotard in the White House than a cackling maniac who might or might not be taking some kind of stimulant to cope with the strain. Sources familiar with drug users' behavior have told me that Kamala Harris' laugh is that of a user. But if those documents relate to dealings with China, then they point to a current compromise of the president. Likewise, if they relate to Hunter Biden's dealings in Ukraine, that could explain why the administration wants to keep funding efforts to drive the Russians out of that region, even assuming they could ever do it. Whatever good thing going Hunter Biden has with Volodymyr Zelensky, he would not have with Vladimir Putin. Almost all Democrats and their sympathizers seem to have broken with Biden. That could mean that the Republicans should leave this alone and not take part in taking him down. Why jump from the frying pan into the fire? I'll tell you straight. If we had the votes to take out Biden without the Democrats' help, I'd recommend taking out Biden and Harris both and citing things they were doing to this country right now. But should we lift a finger to get the Democrats out of an electoral jam? I don't think so. Particularly if it means living with President Cackles for 2 years, or possibly 6, or even 10. Why 10? Because as of this day, Biden has served more than 2 years of his term. If Harris takes over now, she remains perfectly eligible to the office of president in 2024 and in 2028. Do any of you guys want that? I don't. And that's why I say, stay out. Links to the description to the article, to the stories breaking out in legacy media, and actually one of those links is to a tweet with 2 videos, to Kyle Becker's tweets talking about what the FBI was doing, to 4 tweets exploring the inside job angle, to my Declarations of Truth Twitter account, and to Conservative News and Views. I've also left links to the awesome CNAV Store and to oursilverlines.com, as I also mentioned. You know already about how to like a video, turn on notifications, and leave a tip. On the end screen, I'm going to leave a subscribe link to my channel and links to my new Biden Classified Docs playlist and to at least one video about the Amendment 25 dilemma. This is Terry A. Hurlbut delivering another declaration of truth and reminding you to let the truth set you free.